Alright, good morning. Today, hopefully you are watching this video through Delta Math. As long as you watch it in its entirety, you'll get the points. If you are somehow on YouTube or somewhere else watching this, stop, go into Delta Math and click in to log it, or to watch it. So this first vocab word, a chord, okay, this is going to be a segment whose endpoints lie on a circle. So we have talked about one type of chord already. A diameter goes through the center. That's a chord that goes through the center of the circle. However, sometimes a chord will not go through the center. It's just got to be a segment whose endpoints lie in a circle. So for example here, AB, that's from A to B, or CB, those are examples of chords, these two parts. Okay. Our second word, inscribed angle. Okay. Yesterday we talked about a central angle. In a central angle, the vertex was in the center. For an inscribed angle, it's an angle whose vertex is on a circle, so it's on the edge of the circle, and the sides are chords. So these are three pictures. All three of these are inscribed angles. If we look here, the vertex here would be B, and AB is a chord, CB is a chord. On this one, the vertex is also B. This one you can't see the labels, but down here this is the vertex and it's two chords. Now notice on this one it does go through the center, okay, but it doesn't matter either way as long as the vertex is on the edge and you've got two chords. So yesterday we talked about with a central angle, anytime we had a central angle the arc was the same as that central angle. That's not the case with an inscribed angle. On an inscribed angle, the angle is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So what do I mean by that? Well, it says here that angle B is half of the measure of arc AC. So if from A to C, if this chunk here was, say, 50 degrees, that would tell me that angle B was 25 degrees. In the same way, if instead that was 60 degrees, then I know that angle B is 30 degrees. Now, sometimes instead you might say I find out that angle B is 20 degrees. Well, if I want to know what arc AC is, rather than dividing it by 2, I need to double it, right? It will be 40 degrees, okay? So you always know the arc is bigger than the inscribed angle. So let's take a look here, and it tells us that we are supposed to find the measure of arc PR. That should be right here. It copied funny again, but arc PR. So the first thing I want to point out right there is there are only two letters here. If we only have two letters, right off the bat, I know that this is a minor arc, which means it has to be less than 180. Okay, so then the second thing we need to decide is this an inscribed angle or a central angle? And if we look, the vertex is S, that is right there, that is on the edge, it's not in the center, that is an inscribed angle. So I know that the arc, if I take half the arc, I will get the angle. So if I have the angle, I need to times it by 2. So in this case, 80 times 2 gives me 160 degrees, and that is what our arc is. Okay, right off the bat, the second one, you can see it asks for arc RVT. This time there are 3. We know that that means this is either a semicircle or a major arc here. Oops. So RVT. So R to V to T. Okay, so once again, we'll take that 91 times 2, and as you can see, we do get 182. That is bigger than 180. That's why there were the 3 letters there. Okay, so flip it to the back. Once again, same idea on the back, except this time it is asking us for the angle. It's the same concept. This time I gave you the arc, and you find the angle. Now the one thing I want to point out, there are 3 letters here. That does not mean it's a major angle. There's no such thing as a major or minor angle. It's a major and minor arc. The arc is 140, which is minor, but the angle, remember, it's inscribed here because y is on the vertex, is on the edge of the circle. So we just take 140 divided by 2, and we will get 70 degrees as our answer for angle XYZ. In the same way here, once again, angle N. This is an inscribed angle because the vertex is on the edge. Okay, so we take 88 divided by 2, and we will have our answer 44 degrees. All right, so we move on to number 5. Okay, there will be some on the delta that you have to do that are like this. So if you'll notice on this one, there is both an inscribed angle and a central angle. Okay, so we've got our two different types. It tells us that the measure of angle BED is 60 degrees. Okay, so BED, so the first thing I want us to think, that is 60. Okay, and then it asks us, so we have that in blue, it asks us for what BCD is. Now, BED, what was originally given to us, is an inscribed angle because the vertex E is on the edge. BCD, what I highlighted in red, that is a central angle because the vertex is in the center. If I know the arc, I can find the central angle. I don't currently have the arc, but if I know this inscribed angle, do you see how they both start at B and end at D? If I take 60 times 2, that will tell me that this angle right here is 120 degrees. And once I know that arc, so that's from B over to D, once I know that arc, I also know the central angle because they will be the same. So I will get 120 degrees. So let's try one more like that. So you always have to decide which one do you have. So it says encircle T, so right off the bat that tells me T is the center. So I know STU right here, ST, here let me make those straighter. STU, that I highlighted in red is the central angle. That's what I'm finding. I also know then that SVU, so that's 23 degrees. If I double that, I get 46 right here. And I know then that the answer is 46 degrees. That is our answer for this central angle because the central angle matches the arc here. Okay, the inscribed angle is double to get the arc. The central angle is the same as the arc. So there will be some like that on delta. Okay, this last section, okay, we've got a circle, and we have to remember some things about it. Every circle in the world, the whole length around is 360. We also know that means, like if you see here, NP, that's the diameter. It cuts through the middle M, and that will cut it in half into two chunks. So this first chunk, it asks us for PQ. If we look here, PQ, I know if from P to N, that cuts it in half. I already have 120 right here. 180 minus 120, that leaves me with just 60 to go right there. Okay? So for the next part, you can do the same thing if you want to find NO, or if you prefer, we know the whole circle is 360, you can add this 180 plus 70, 250, take that from 360, we're left with 110. Okay, so that will take care of the second part. Now, for our next question, it says, what is PNO? So, PNO, if we look here, P to N to O, that's this angle. We have to first ask ourselves, is that a central angle or an inscribed angle? Now it does go through the center, but the vertex N is on the on the circle. So that means it's an inscribed angle. So to find this, whatever arc is intercepted, 70, I would divide that by 2. So to do this, I'd take 70 divided by 2. That's going to give me 35 degrees. That angle right there, 35 degrees. Okay. Now, for the next one, QNP. Okay, so let me erase these marks. I'll leave that other one. QNP. That's on the other side. Once again, we'll take it divided by 2. This time, it will be the intercepted arc here, QP. So 60 divided by 2, and we will get 30 degrees. All right. So we'll put 30 right here. And let's move on to the next one. So NPO. NPO, same idea. Once again, we'll erase NP. I can leave that highlighted still. NPO right here. Same thing, except this time we will take 110 divided by 2. So 110 divided by 2 leaves me with 55 degrees. Okay. Finally, NPQ. Okay, so once again, NPQ. That's going to be 120 divided by 2 this time. So 120 divided by Q, or not, by 2 is 60 degrees. Okay. Now for the last part here, it asks me angle Q at angle O. And if we look here, angle Q, so that highlights from N to Q to P. That means this whole side, which we know that whole side is 180. So I can do 180 divided by 2, which will give me 90. And as you can see, not only is this 90, I know the other one also would be 90 because it is the other side of the circle. Okay? So that is how we do that. Sign into Delta, get the assignment done, or you're already in Delta, so just move on to the next section, get it done. If you have questions, ask me tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.